Okay, so you can see the screen, right, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start with the first speaker, that's Nitish Tiwari from Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then followed by Brazil, Ireland, India, Kuwait, Bangladesh, Austria, Doha, Myanmar, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. In the last two webinar, we have seen, average participation of almost 500 plus,
Yeah. And
and this goes beyond 6 o'clock as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and but yeah, we request every speaker to just take care of only their timing so that because there is a back-to-back session and there is a method and concept behind keeping 7 minutes for each speaker. So I will share when in my opening note. Nothing secret. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
A hearty good evening to all of you. Hope all of you are healthy and doing great. It's 4:30 in India, and I'm just sitting here with my cup of tea. And COVID-19, it's come as an uninvited villain to all our lives. And the global economy is definitely seeing the nightmare because of that. But again, it's just a phase, and this too shall pass. So we all just need to stay together in these tough times and support each other, like we've all been doing so far and doing great. And we will definitely get through this pandemic successfully. So as Ashish just mentioned, I'm Naz and I work as an HR business partner at Xoxoday. I'm happy to welcome you all to this session, Employee Engagement During Work from Home, in partnership with Xoxoday and HR Shapers. A little about Xoxoday. Xoxoday has been empowering organizations to help them motivate their workforce by launching AI-based rewards and recognition programs. Our products, Impulse, Plum, and Compass, are being used by the organizations across the globe to drive collaboration, employee engagement, and rewards and recognition. We strongly believe that a motivated employee or channel partner would always go beyond the call of duty and perform better. And this belief would be the crux in the discussion that would be happening this evening. Our co-founder, Mr. Manoj Agarwal, is also among one of the speakers of the Allied panel today. And work from home, as Ashish mentioned, that's going to be a norm for the next I don't know how many months. So sometimes staying at home can get too monotonous because you don't have that kind of colleagues or teammates to cheer you up. So of course work from home has its own positives, but we could always make it better if we engage our employees more, because the companies who crack the code of work from home in this current scenario would always be the ones that can do anything at an extra mile in a slow paced economy. So over to your speakers.
Naz, that's a really wonderful introduction. So Xoxoday is, have a lot of engagement tools, activities, and idea. You can go to website and have a look at it. We have Manoj, who will be the fourth speaker, fourth and fifth speaker. So you'll get to hear from Manoj more. Okay, so great. So time to start now with the first session. We are still waiting for Nitish to join, who's supposed to be the first one. But as I said, we welcome Liz Lux. Liz Lux is from Austria, not the Australia. And she is HR head from for Bloom Diagnosis. So I had the opportunity to hear just before 2 days she was talking on stress management, and also that was really wonderful session. Liz, over to you. Would like to hear from your perspective. How you like to share something on this topic.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Ashish, and it's a pleasure to be on this forum and to share my experiences and also to hear from some others. As Ashish mentioned, I am an Australian living in Austria and heading up a Austrian-Swiss startup, and we're a small company. We're only around 30 people, and we have a culture of where home office was something that we had. So working from home was part of our culture before, where people would maybe once every 2 weeks, once every week, have half a day or a day at home if they're focusing on a project where they didn't want to be distracted, where we're normally sitting in an open office environment. But and yes, even, you know, we, as Naz mentioned in the beginning, everyone is impacted by this around the whole world. It's interesting that, you know, it's a virus that has brought us all together in terms of all facing the same challenges, maybe some different contributing factors, but generally all facing similar issues. And certainly the topic of how to keep your employees engaged when they're working from home all the time is a big topic. And I can only share some of the things that we have done and some of the things we spoke about on the weekend in the other HR forum that Ashish was also part of. For me, the key thing is that many organizations, and I think this is very valid for many of the countries and the organizations that all of you have are working at or are working with, is that traditionally companies are measuring time of our employees. And now we don't have the people in the offices. We also have, you know, there's people here in Austria, people are juggling schooling with children. Schools have closed, so they have to work from home. They have to also do the homeschooling. And how do you do that if you're doing a 9-to-5 job? That's just not possible. So companies, the first step is that companies really have to change their DNA to not measuring time that people are working, but actually to change it to performance and goals and tasks based. One thing that I have used in past companies here, and I think this is a great source. I don't have a presentation. I'm sorry I didn't get to do one in time. But if you have a look into, if you haven't used them before or heard of them, objectives and key result areas is one model, one framework that is a fantastic way to help your organizations change their DNA from focusing from time focused to tasks and short-term goals. Because that's already, if you're giving people short-term goals that you can check up with them on how they're doing on, they are more engaged because they know what they're doing for a short time frame. Okay, here's a task I need to achieve in X amount of time. And so I can check back with my team lead can check back with me as to how I'm going there, rather than the clocking on, clocking off mentality. Another thing there that people, organizations need to do is to make sure they're supporting their employees that they have the right infrastructure at home. So giving support, giving guidance, and I think especially for HR professionals, we can do a lot with talking with our employees and helping them set up a system at home. Something as simple as saying, okay, you know, don't just go and sit on the dining room table and set up your laptop. To actually have a place in the home, even if it's a tiny, tiny flat, to have a corner somewhere where your laptop is, that's where you go to do your work from home. It's separate, so that when you are engaging back with the family, you can actually physically leave that space, and psychologically that has a big impact as well. And then also being able to introduce lots of initiatives, some things that we've done, and we've received super positive feedback that the employers are finding very positive and very, very useful. Things that we're missing when we're in the office physically together, the afternoon of going and grabbing a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and just chatting at the coffee or tea machine, or while you're going to grab some lunch, is missing. So we initiated that we have 3 o'clock every afternoon, we have a virtual coffee chat. Anyone can dial in. It's not a compulsory one, but we find many do dial in. And for about 15 to 20 minutes, there's just, you know, checking on how's everyone going, some informal catch-ups on any particular projects where people have questions and they can just ask. And we find that very positive. And really utilizing many of the different sort of instant messaging tools, using Zoom as we are, and really being able to make sure there's lots of communication going on, that the keys, your employees are feeling connected, that they're feeling that they've got the vehicle there, the support there to be able to reach out to anybody if they're feeling a little bit lost or disconnected. But they are the main things. And I know we have 5 minutes to talk, so that's my 5 minutes. I want to leave a couple of minutes to any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So that was really great insight. Anybody would like to just pose the question? Otherwise, I have one question from Liz. Liz, you talked about virtual coffee and all. So do you see people carrying actually coffee up mug or tea?
Yes, so we actually use Google Hangouts, but you can use Zoom or any of the platforms, and everyone has their coffee there and sort of shows it and gets on screen or takes photos of their coffee. Or in the morning, for example, we actually, everyone when they log on says good morning, and some just send a photo of their breakfast or their kids playing at the table. Or So it brings a lot of fun and keeps everyone gives them something to smile about in these
Great.
times.
Okay, we have time, so I will take one question coming from Neha. How are you measuring the performance?
By the
Is there any-
objective and key result areas. So we have still are doing, team leads have regular one-on-ones, even when it's so working remotely, they still have the catch-ups, and we have very clear goal setting. So that is if the only message that comes through, I think the main thing you have to do before people are working from home is to make sure you have very clear goals and there are check-ins to see. So doing performance reviews on these goals, but on a short-term basis. So it might be that you need to finish this task by next week, and you can check in a few times to see how you're doing with that. And then next week, where are you at with that task that we agreed that you would achieve? And that's the way that you can actually measure performance.
Do you use any tool, or it is just?
No, we're very basic at the moment. We only use G Drive tools at the moment because as I say, we're very early days startup, so we have budget constraints. But if any of you Google, and I can certainly share some links with Ashish on some good links around the objective key result areas. There's lots of platforms there that you can implement to automate a lot more of it. So there's a lot of good systems out there.
Okay, there are more questions coming. Is this virtual copy? I believe you mentioned it's open to anybody to join, but question coming around, is it department wise or anyone can be part of the session?
Anyone can be a part of this session, and we have everyone from the CEO to the individual contributors joining.
Which tool you are using, Liz?
We use Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. Okay. Okay, great. Fine. So I think that's all. There are many questions coming. Till you are there, please keep taking all of them. Respond to everybody in the chat box so that we get to see knowledge sharing coming across. So thanks, Liz. So that was Liz from
You're
Austria.
welcome.
Thanks
Hope
for
it was
joining.
helpful.
And please come back, as soon as, your meeting is there, you have some time in between, please join us. We are here till 6 o'clock. Yeah.
I will. Unfortunately, I have right through to 6 o'clock my time today, calls and the executive meetings today. But I hope to be able to join again in the future. And please, Ashish and Priya, please send me any questions that others were sending in that you'd like me to help answer. I can write back some answers and, as I say, share links and resources.
I have already posted your LinkedIn profile, so people can send you requests and they can connect with you separately as well. I will repost it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Liz. So that was Liz from Austria. And
bye, everyone. And enjoy the rest of the session.
Yes, thank you, Liz.
And stay safe and healthy. Bye.
I have posted again Liz LinkedIn profile. Thanks, Liz. Bye-bye. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah. So guys and girls, we are still waiting for Nitesh. Nitesh, if you are there, please, you can ping me or Priya so that we can take you in the speaker box. Okay, we move to next one till we get to hear from Nitesh. So here, this time we have some different approach. Okay, and instead of HR, we got opportunity to to hear from someone who is in business but with HR background. So here is Param for us. Param is from Brazil. He is the center head, but he was HR head for Brazil country for many number of years. Param, I will post your LinkedIn profile so they will get to know more about you. But let's start at the same time so we get to hear. And obviously now you must be wearing both the hats, so it's good to see HR routing through business or business routing through HR about the all engagement activity. So let's hear from Param. That's Param from Brazil. Welcome, Param.
Morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone all around the world. So I've been living for the last 10 years in Brazil. So I think the transformation, what Ashish mentioned from HR to business has been pretty interesting. It's essentially getting myself more relevant and moving out of the comfort zone, which made me make this choice. So Having said that, moving to the context of the discussion, so I think how do you engage employees? So I think Liz touched upon one of the relevant subject on infrastructure readiness. So when people are talking about working remotely, I think one of the key realizations that happened was about how, because for a large organization in my context, like TCS, which has 450,000 people, you have people of varied salary structure. So not everybody is really prepared for an infra which can take on a day-to-day basis. So I think this was a key learning. So there was extensive engagement from the line managers alongside with HR to understand what's the real need, and to also ably invest, if required, on getting infra readiness in this pandemic situation. In our line of business, as you know, working data security is extremely critical. So we call this work from home as a secured borderless workspace. So that's how we term it within organization. And I think some of the key areas of focus that has largely taken is extensive leadership connect. So there's been, I think everybody is looking both at a regional space, at a global space. For example, our CEO is making a live session today at 8 p.m. IST to address all across the globe, global CEO. Similarly, leaders at different levels of organization pyramid are connecting with associates, providing the vision on which they can relate to and what they would like to hear. I think people are of diverse interests, right? So there are various engagement activities around fitness, around interests of be it if it's movies or people with varied interests. There are platforms where people of similar interests get together, share of what is relevant for them. So that's another thing which parallelly goes on. So we've created communities where people of similar interests get together and get to share their experience and interests. Learning platforms. So we do have collaboration with a lot of global learning platforms. So reinforcement on bringing in many of these learning platforms to ensure that people are actively working on competency development. For example, what would be more relevant for a country like Brazil, where more and more, given the economic situation, people would like themselves to be more global resources than looking at themselves to be doing what is a task assigned to them. In that sense, the language becomes a very key investment that we are making today, where we are enabling the local resources to learn the English language, which I think is a great value add that we've seen as feedback from associates as well. I would say we have launched a global initiative called as Tcs Cares, which is quite some time right now. So where through this initiative, we do have professionally trained people who can engage with the associates more from psychological perspective. I think in the given context where people are at different phases of their life, but stuck at home, large part of them. So we do have professional HR associates or counselors giving them a call just to check in on what's the mental state and if they're fine, if there would be anything. And similar for people who are at overseas associates and where their families are probably in India. So we are enabling those special engagement connects with their families to ensure that they're being comfortable. So I think largely I would like to summarize that last week when we announced our annual results, there was a very interesting observation that has already been made globally, that our productivity has gone up by 25% over the last month. And this has enabled us to pioneer towards a visionary initiative that we're embarking on, which is called as 25-25. So, which is essentially we are realizing that more and more we wouldn't need more than 25% of an associate time in office, and not more than 25% of a project team to be working from office to get the productivity that is aspired or that is desired for an engagement. So our mission and vision is towards accomplishing this by 2025. So that's why it's called as 25-25. So that's in summary about what I had to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Param. That was so nice of you. So that was Param, TCS Brazil. And I think, Param, it's morning 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock there?
8:15, yeah, morning 8.
Morning, okay, great. Okay, so first question from Madhvi, question to Param, what are the various tools used for working from home?
So, as a corporate platform, we use Teams, Microsoft Teams. So that's the license product that we use for connecting.
Okay, great. Guys, go beyond tool, because we all know either we are using tool or Excel. That's not the question should be asked at this moment. But yes, people need to know. Okay, second question from Subhash. How HR team can engage to rest of the team members who physical presence is required to fulfill objective defined? How HR team can engage to rest of the team members through physical presence? Can HR do some physical activity? That's what I think coming from the...
As I said, people, I mean, not everybody is of similar interest, right? So, so in fact, very interestingly, that we do have physical activity communities where people of interest, they do get in. And for example, locally, we've created communities who would like to, weather is cold right now. So people have every night, 8 p.m., we have a wine tasting community. So where people talk about wine, share experiences. So it's about interests and relevant participants or I would say associates.
Okay, I take last question from Samrat. Do you face any problem while people working from home? Are they complaining about anything, any grievance, any issues?
I think I would say, which Liz also highlighted, I would say infra readiness is something that many a times is overlooked. So I think especially when as you go down at the bottom of the pyramid, I think that's the space that we as organization and leaders really have ample room to work on to really keep happy associates.
Okay, so thanks, Param. There are a lot of input, question, and conversation happening in chat box. Look at the both chat box. There is one is Q&A, second is chat. Okay, you can get to see. Okay, now let's move ahead. So that was Param from TCS Brazil. Thank you, Param, for sharing the insight, all the input, knowledge. We move to now the first speaker. Now we have Nitish. Hi, Nitish. Sorry, because Liz had to go, so we took first session from Liz. Yeah.
No. Do you want me to? Would you like sharing the slide deck for me?
Yes, please share.
This was my first technology challenge, by the way. So sorry I'm late, guys.
No problem. So, guys, I'm posting Nitish Tiwari is from Hong Kong. He's HR head for Highway Group company. I'm posting his LinkedIn profile also, so you'll go through. Are you able to share, Nitish? Yes, we can see.
You can see that, right? So I'm just going to stick straight to the experience sharing slide. I think as you all are aware that working from home, or probably what we call remote working, is becoming the new normal now, right? Even though, in the recent past, when you talked about it, probably you would have organizations who would frown upon it, right? It's not something workable. It's not the best. But what positive thing this COVID-19 situation has given us is kind of us as an organization to think it and implement it. It's no longer BCP planning once a year where you sit and work from home to see it's workable, but it's actually live. You're actually doing it. We have previous speakers who have pointed out that working from home actually is helping, in fact, in productivity, maintaining morale. It also actually is now bringing in more fair performance processes, a conversation with our teams. And of course, it's an interesting challenge and opportunity to try new and innovative ideas. How we started at Hive was we had a very typical situation like most of the organization would have. We faced first when China went into a sudden lockdown and the staff could not return from the Chinese New Year holidays. This gave us out kind of an opportunity to think out of the box of how to keep staff motivated, healthy, and on top to be engaged. So what you would see right now is what...
Nitish, can you go into presentation mode? Yeah, just go on presentation mode.
Does it help?
Yes, perfectly fine. Thank you.
Perfect. So what we did was, what we looked at is the typical engagement model, where you're trying to ensure that your staff is engaged intellectually, emotionally, and behaviorally. How we've tied up is also, you will see these wordings: performance, connections, communications, and well-being and care. But there are these hidden words over there, which is brilliant work, rich connection, collective buzz. These are our corporate values, which we have been living. And in this situation, when we are implementing new ideas of how we should keep our teams engaged, this is becoming more and more relevant and more easy for us to actually live our corporate values. So I'll start off with the first and the most important one, which is performance. So we had the first speaker talking about, I think it's becoming more and more relevant to have short-term daily goals set up. So that's something on a regular basis we are having. Regular check-ins on deliverables. So, there's a sales reporting, operations update. So that has become more regular now. In a normal situation, it's very easy to walk up to the desk and speak, but now it's more kind of structured and systematic way of doing these regular check-ins with individuals. We do have, and we have been promoting to have people a daily morning kickoff and an evening wrap-up, like a 15 minutes call, either individually with your teams if your team is not too large, or probably do it as a team virtually as a team. So that's another starting off and closing off the call for the day. So that's to check if everybody is in line. That's kind of looking at your intellectual motivation. People wearing multiple hats, or as we call them, the project champions, which we are a sales and marketing organization. We do events and exhibitions. So you would know that, with some of the exhibitions now taking a back seat and getting either postponed or canceled, we do have sales staff who are now less busier than before. So when they're done with the, rebooking for the new shows, if they have free time, all the projects which we had before, which we were not picking up, now this is a tight time when we are doing it. There are some key projects which were in line. So the sales teams are now the champions who are kind of working on it and making it happen. We were not doing it because of the resource crunches, or everybody was very busy, not the right time before. So that's happening now. I think it's important to becoming more and more, you're encouraging and appreciating people when they do, or staff when they do good work. We have something called a brilliant work as our value, and it's becoming on a regular shout out where you're doing great work, great project contribution, or a great idea that you've put in. So it's becoming more structured, more regular. We have also organizing these virtual breakfasts. At this point of time, it's more or less conversations with the CEO. But eventually, I think once a lockdown shuts for most of or closes for most of the countries, we'll give them some vouchers to have these actual breakfast. What we are also looking at is connect and communication, which is actually personal development. Now, we got these opportunities. There's always a conversation. We don't have enough trainings. We don't have enough learnings, or it's expensive. We can't do it. So this is a time we are promoting peer learning programs. So all our teams are gearing up and helping team members and other team members locally, regionally, globally to share, and bring them to speed. So that's another bit that is happening, which actually, lines up very well with our, our values, which is, building rich connections and collective buzz. For example, if there's a health and safety expert, then he's giving a training to everybody across the globe, across the region, talking about how to look at it, or the guidebook that we have on health and safety. What we are also promoting, and since it's work from home, it becomes more and more relevant at this point of time. There are kids at home, their kids' schooling is happening, so there are times when some of the staff are busy in a certain hours because they're taking care of the kid at that point of time. So we're looking at sharing workload by allowing that flexibility. So when teams are coming into supporting each other, if there are individual staff who have these challenges. Again, what we also introduced, it was a fresh thinking. We talk about these suggestion boxes, innovative thinking. We took it to a next level. We have our values is fresh thinking. So we started doing challenges, which is team challenge, country battles, where each individual are allowed to give ideas. It could be anything: how to keep your customers engaged during this time, or what we can do differently as an organization. So we're getting brilliant suggestions, but it is also allowing people to participate and do some fresh thinking. We're having a lot of virtual birthdays. So, and the great thing is now it is allowing people from, people from other part of the teams or region to join those birthdays, which was not possible before because it was done face to face. So this is kind of happening at the moment as well. Staff in this time of, when you talk about increasing stress levels or uncertainty, it does create barriers at times between employees, which is being addressed. So we are using at this point of time, very simple ways of coaching our leaders and people managers of how they should be managing emotions, how they should be, speaking to the teams, whether it is communicating more or sharing more information, having a listening ear, etc. So these are the way we are kind of helping manage those situations. Again, the last bit of it under connect and communication is communicate, communicate, and communicate. So we're having enough virtual town halls, breakfast meetings with the CEO. We're having regular company updates and other news updates. So we're allowing teams not to get onto, wrong sources for information, but we're helping them go through the right sources, the right channels for information. Again, during this time or any time when you're working from home, care and well-being is an important aspect of it to keep individuals emotionally engaged. And that's where it comes in, allowing and understanding personal challenges. So there are challenges individuals are facing and creating a culture of trust by what I said before is giving some time, listening, hearing out at times people are complaining. I think that helps them to get over these frustrations if there are any. We are also being mindful of the COVID-19 situation. We are doing daily check-ins on health and morale. There are daily temperature checks, which is becoming mandatory. So this is kind of helping people, given their health status as well. Again, there are going to be disturbances during the calls when you're working from home. There are kids, there are technology challenges, which I just faced now. I think what we are doing is supporting rather than questioning and embarrass, because that's an important part of it. Again, the last bit of it that I'm going to talk about it is well-being. Again, we are doing, someone just talked about as a questions, what you do. We started off something called virtual, session, like a yoga session on how do you do better posture when you're working from home. So that's something which is now kind of expanding of what else can we do virtually as groups and teams. There are ways we are taking teams through on time management, some best practices, how you can manage your time, how you can probably announce you're logging in and log off, because when you're working from home, the tendency is that you tend to extend timelines. You probably don't want to get off your computers. And that's where in log off time, announcing log off time helps in kind of building that culture. Again, this is all to encourage work. So these are something which is happening live at the moment. And we are learning from our from our trials, from different thinking different.
Yeah, thanks.
Hope I stuck to your 7 minutes slot.
Yeah, thanks, Nitish. Good, good. Yeah, there are questions coming. I will take one. That is from Cheran Pradhani. Nitish, how do you ensure work-life balance, especially when we work from home, and how does manager manage insecureness within the team?
What was the second part of it? Sorry, can you?
How managers managing secureness within the team?
The first part of it is I just mentioned. We are doing these simple actions like logging in, logging off time. So that's becoming a part of when you have to log off. So if you're not logging off on time, then we're calling it out as well, saying, hey, you've been working late, so can you log off? Also, as I said, this is supporting each other, right? So that's wherein you call out, not to name and shame, but you call out to ensure that people are following it. Other than that, I think the 15 minutes call that the managers are doing, which is basically, in the starting of the day and end of the day, is also helping close the work bit. I did share some of the other bits before, which is actually teams picking up when parents are taking care of the kids on those particular hours, the other team members are stepping in and picking up. These are some of the ways of how we are doing to manage the work life, specifically when you're working from home, which becomes a question. I couldn't get the second part of the question, Ashish. What is secure means?
Okay, I will post it, but let me take the other one because
Yes.
just losing on time. So this interesting question: how do you counsel? Yeah, this is coming from Shiva. Uh, I'm losing. Okay, how do you counsel your employee on job security during the situation? Job security or insecurity, whatever we can say.
Yeah. So see, I mean, all the organization, we are in a tough time as organizations, right, in this situation. So we are being fair. What we are doing is lots of town halls and communications. So we are not over-promising. We are not saying that we are, we're not trying to paint the picture really bad. We're being very upfront and honest about how we are doing as an organization. How is the industry doing? How is the market doing? How does it look like? Again, the involvement of individuals in different projects, different work groups, I think it helps kind of shift the attention from job security to more on engagement and doing different things. So that is one of the way we are doing, is engaging in collaboration and collaborating work and engaging in peer learning program where individuals are getting up and training people, to their team members. So that's how we are doing at the moment. Again, as I said, simple way of doing it is be honest and honest and upfront in your conversations.
Thank you, Nitish. So that was Nitish Tiwari from Hong Kong. So I think what I get to hear is more about the tracking the productivity. I think that was really a good one in addition to a lot of HR activity. So input and suggestion to all delegates, please connect with Nitish and understand how exactly Nitish is doing this wonderful job. Great, Nitish. So thanks, Nitish. Please be there, pick up all the question and other things which is coming from audience. Okay, let's move to the next one. So right, we are in Southeast Asia. We move to now Europe part. So here is the very interesting speaker now. So that's Anubhav Srivastava for us, guys. He's the director global HR service delivery Accenture. He's based in Dublin and he's from Ireland. So we are looking forward to hear you from Anubhav. Over to you, Anubhav.
Thank you very much, Ashish, and it's very interesting to be hearing all the speakers speak, because I think it's a global issue, and so thanks for bringing this community together, and it's a great opportunity to share. I wanted to start by giving some context regarding my organization. So Accenture is obviously a global organization, and we have about 500,000 employees that work for us. And it's important to understand that as an organization, we were very big and avid supporters of telecommuting even before the pandemic hit us. And as an organization, we were always very supportive of policies that enabled employees to work from home or different places of work. But as the pandemic hit our organization and the world, it was an unprecedented change that we were experiencing, and it brought about very rapid changes and adoption of new practices for us as an organization. And I say that really because I think each organization, as Liz started us, and her organization was 30 people, but I think whether it's 30 or 500,000 people does not matter. I think all organizations, regardless, are facing this as a new challenge, because none of us was fully prepared for what we are all experiencing. So I think acknowledging that is an important first step in making sure that what we translate that to our employees, our people that work for us, happens transparently. And that's the approach we took from the beginning. And I think Param was making that great point. I think for a large firm like ours, our first big focus as the pandemic began was to make sure that our people were safe in whatever environment that they were in. They were equipped to be able to work from home, because not everybody was, though our company was supportive. So making sure infrastructure and that support was provided and people had the right equipments to be working from home was the first big step that we took. With that settling down, I think, and some great points were made by Liz, Param, and Nitin right now, and I think some of it is similar to what we are doing. But I really wanted to focus on three big pockets that Accenture certainly focused on, and probably one maybe bonus item. But then the first big piece that we realized was that, hey, we're all working from home. We're going to go virtual, and we realized that it's the power of digital and the power of engaging through digital is an important one. So as soon as a majority of our people started to work from home, we created this digital platform or website called More Together Now, which is really a website for the people and by the people, which has become a single point or source of communication with all of our employees regarding information that we post on COVID or anything related to that. But it's also become an engagement site where we have various forums that have now got set up. So we have parent corners, we have nutrition corners, we have all sorts of things happening where our people are going there, posting it, posting recipes, posting their exercise videos. They're actually asking people to join at a certain time and do a group exercise session and things like those. So that has become a central place where we are posting stories about our people, including stories about people's struggles, right? So for example, if it's a parent, including myself, I'm a parent, and if my daughter is sitting on my lap, people are being transparent about the fact that, hey, I have to deal with a child at home as well. So those are the things happening over there. Many people spoke about performance, etc. We do leverage the Q12, the Gallup Q12 tool as an engagement tool with our employees, and we have a digital version of that our team leads can actually use. So our team leads can create surveys for their own teams at a click of a button any time of the year, and that's helping create a culture of engagement, because they are able to understand on a weekly, monthly, fortnightly basis what the mood and situation of the team is, which is enabling team leaders to then engage with their teams on a more specific level and not just a generic level. So those are sort of the digital pieces that we're really focused on. The second big piece is really, again, investing time in learning and to recognize our people. Nitin also spoke about learning. I think this is the time where you cannot put that on the back burner. This is the time to actually front load learning, make sure that employees understand that. So we are investing a lot in terms of communicating about our learning programs, ensuring that employees know what foundational training programs are available, encouraging them to take time and do those. But we also launched, for example, a program called How Do Human Learn? How do human beings learn? And we opened that learning program not just for all employees, but we said bring your families, friends, everybody, whoever stays with you. And we opened that virtual program to say, come and learn how human beings learn. So your children can sit with you to learn about that program. So we're doing those type of initiatives to engage people and ensure that they're spending time in learning. The third big piece is really around sort of duty of care, but it's really focused on supporting the mental well-being of our employees. And there are two specific things I'd like to speak about. One is our investment in what we call our mental health ally program. And we have trained employees. So we have a network of 5,000 trained employees who can be tapped into as mental health allies. For example, I am one, but it's not just HR people, it's across the board people who are trained to be mental health allies. And someone can come to me and approach me to understand if they're facing a challenging situation, what to do in it. I can access resources that I can provide them, etc. We've also got a very, and this was before COVID, but now we are seeing and encouraging people more and more to use it, is our employee assistance program, which is basically an external service that we provide to our employees and families. It's a free, confidential mental health service where you can engage with an external psychiatrist, etc., in case you're facing any mental health challenge, because I think this is the time where people need it the most, and we're encouraging people to use those resources. The last thing I would say, like the bonus piece, which is actually not really a rocket science or anything, but reminding employees of the basics, right? And what we are doing is reminding employees of basics like, hey, sleep is important. So make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. We're reminding employees of making sure that they block in time for breaks, because what is happening right now is that a lot of us are on our laptops or a gadget all the time, and we're at home, and we're kind of, it psychologically feels like that you have to be online at work. So we are encouraging people to take breaks, be away from, your system, etc. And that is important. We are in fact also asking our employees to take vacation days if they'd like to, because while we can't go out, it is important to take vacation days, spend time with your family, do what you love doing, take time or mind away from work, so that refreshes and re-engages you. And lastly, we are ensuring that our teams or people establish ways of working within their own little teams, right? Because we all are in different situations. Some people have kids, some people have ailing parents sometimes with them, some people live alone, some people live with friends. So it could be a different situation. And if you're a team, you need to understand that as a team and really build new ways of working, or what works for your team the best, and really start that. So if you typically started at 8 p.m., but now it's important for you to shift that to start at sort of 9 a.m., in the morning, do that as a team so that you've adjusted it, and therefore the team can be more productive and engaged. So those are the things that we're doing. Over to you.
So, Anubhav, that was really interesting and quick bite. So yes, questions coming, we can see some of them in the chat box. Okay, I take the last one first. How can we make understand our parents that work from home is new way of work? Very interesting question, something different.
Yes. In fact, I have a personal story. My dad, who's unfortunately not alive anymore, would always wonder, how the hell did I work from home? He's like, you're not working from home. That's not even true, right? So he never got it. And I think what helps is clear and transparent communication. I would even encourage, we are doing that. Like, for example, with my kids, I've brought them on my work calls, right? Get your parents, get people involved. I think this is the time to take some risks. I think people are more open to that. Bring your parent into a work call, and or make them sit next to you, listening in on what you talk about, what you work on. Take their opinion on something that you're facing at work. And I think those are things that you can engage them with. But I think this is really a time where they are seeing everybody do it. So I think this is the time to drill in their heads that you can work from home. So I think take the opportunity and do it.
Okay, there are more questions coming. Learning platform you suggest to employ, any learning platform you, because Accenture is big company and they have
Yes.
everything to digitalize, and they are
Yes.
digital company.
Yes.
Anything which you like to share with our
I would say one is, I think learning in general has been democratized for everybody in the world today, right? Accenture as a company obviously has its own internal learning platform, which is completely digital. So obviously all of our learning happens there. We obviously do have investment in classroom learning, etc., but we have a huge infrastructure on digital learning. But as we speak, as I was talking about the More Together Now website that we created for our employees, there is a plethora of external learning sites, so like Khan Academy, for example, right, where or even or many digital tools that you can Google on are actually providing learning for free to many of our people. LinkedIn, for example, opened many free learning courses for people to take on at this time. Accenture itself, you can visit the Accenture website. We're doing a whole lot of things for our clients, including investment in learning. We're the largest user of Microsoft Teams, for example, in the world. And we've started a learning program that enables other companies that have not been so engaged on digital platforms and how to use Microsoft Teams and leverage its power. So I think there is plenty available out there. It's a matter of sort of doing searches. These are free platforms that you can make available to your employees, and you don't necessarily have to invest or have an existing platform. For us, or for me, I feel lucky to be in a firm which has a large infrastructure, but I would say go out there, check universities, programs like on LinkedIn, Khan Academy, and others.
Yeah, there is a Coursera is there,
Yes.
skills yes. So there are a lot of
Yes.
platforms. One quick question from my side, give us a quick bite. How do you track employee engagement, or is it necessary to track it?
I don't think it's necessary to track it as a global firm, right? Because we strongly as a company believe engagement happens in the team you are. So if Ashish, you and I work together, our engagement will be very different if Nitin and I work together, right? Because our collaboration patterns, our personalities, everything is different. So we strongly believe that engagement happens within the team structures you are at. And therefore, as I was mentioning, it is important to stay engaged in the small group of teams. So encourage team leaders, HR, anybody who's part of that team to collaborate and understand how this team functions best. So so it's important to know engagement, and it's important to know the pulse of people. But again, I would say it does not require investment in tools necessarily. You can simply go chat with people and understand what the pulse and the environment is. You can use, again, free tools that are available to check pulses of employees, but do it at a small level, right? Because don't try to kill everything, like try to attack the world problems. Try to attack small. I think that's where engagement happens, and I would say that's most important.
Yeah, great input. One of the best way to engage, whether you're 100% audience or not. Anything less than 40 means people not engaged. That is not. Okay, that's
That's a
our
good way.
lighter side, because the way we measure attendance, we easily take the decision, okay, people not interested, fine. So that was Anubhav from Ireland. Anubhav, there are a lot of inputs coming. Since you are from Accenture, if people like to know many things, please visit both the section of chart. One is chart and second is question and answer box. Yeah, there are a lot of
Thank you.
questions for you. Please keep answering. Okay, thanks Anubhav. So we coming from Europe to India now. So here is a Manoj Agrawal, who's supporting this global initiative since last 1 month, not 1 month actually, before 6 months, we have been connected with Xoxoday. So here is Manoj, who's co-founder from Xoxoday. We would like to hear Manoj, because you are connected with so many HR people in the industry. So something very unique you like to share with us. Over to you, Manoj.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. I hope I'm audible, Ashish.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for taking out time despite a busy schedule because of the entire situations. See, I'm one of the founders of a company called Xoxoday, and we are into employee engagement and helping companies how to build a great culture. Now, because of the kind of business which we are in, we get a lot of data from the industry. We get to hear from a lot of HR leaders and people leaders across the world. So I would like to share some of the broader aspects on what different kind of companies are doing in this situation, and what has been really working for people, and how the macro environment in the entire people engagement space is kind of moving forward. Uh, Before I start, I'll just quote a very famous quote from the Jungle Book, which talks about uh, everything around how a company is nothing but a collection of people, and as long as you take care of your people, everything else is kind of handled. I mean, you can easily handle any kind of situation as long as you have a good people first culture. So it says that the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf. So every individual and every person in your team and company really matters. And if those guys are collectively working together, uh, any kind of pandemic, I mean, the situations which we are in, we will be able to surpass. Uh, Now, what we have found is that and then this is a very interesting fact, that the employee engagement is actually at one of the highest level today compared to what it was, and the reason is that more and more people are now realizing the importance of engaging people, because I mean, we say that you generally take things for granted when you don't hit the adversities. Now, when you are in a real bad situation, you are actually looking into some of those things which you were overlooking earlier. So people are putting more and more efforts now to engage their people, and the awareness level, both from the employees as well as from the leadership and the people managers, etc., has increased to a level which was never seen. So this is a good news for the entire industry, not only from a work from home kind of situation, this entire awareness around why one should really invest in people, and why everyone should kind of really put the best efforts in people, would become a norm now, because everything you are able to do today in the situations is only because of people. Most of the things which you had artificially been kind of dependent upon are not really working for you. So the only thing which is working is mostly around what you have as living beings. So that is one interesting aspect which we saw across organizations, where the engagement levels are going to a higher level than what they were before. Now, if we get into a little more details of engagement and how people are engaged, I mean, the fundamentals of engagement remain the same, whether you are working from home, whether you are in a crisis situation, whether you are working from office, whether you are working from a co-working space, the fundamentals more or less remain the same. So if we talk about those fundamentals, what are some of the few elements which are very important for people to engage with the company, people to engage with their managers, and be happy and being productive? So one is, people should be very clear about their goals and rules, and this works whether you are in office or whether you are in working from home. I mean, uh, it is the duty of the managers and the organizations to make sure that their people who are reporting to them have clear goals and rules, and because that adds up to the purpose and mission and vision of the company. So that always applies in any kind of situation. The second is around conversations and discussions, and the previous panelists have talked a lot about it. So conversations and discussions were always part of your engagement. Now, just because that you are not physically kind of able to see each other, you are just moving that entire conversation through digital media, maybe through video calls, phones, etc., etc. The third important element, and which is one of the most important element, is around respect, results, and relationships. Now, all these three R's, I mean, are very important when it comes to people being happy working with you. You should respect these guys, you should talk about objective results, and you should have a good relationship. Now this works even when you are working with these guys in office, and you just have to move that entire thing through some kind of a digital way. But the fundamentals remain the same. The fourth thing which is very important around people is around their motivation. That are they motivated, are they really pepped up, are they really getting the right kind of appreciation and recognition when it really matters. Now we were doing these things when we were in office, so we have to do the same things when we are working from home. The fifth thing is around empathy, compassion, and trust. Now, this becomes very, very important when you are not talking to people and when you are not meeting people face to face, because this element sometimes gets in a bad shape when you are working kind of online, because you would have seen in your regular lives that when you are talking to people on WhatsApp or any kind of chats, I mean, your trust scores that time are much lesser than when you are talking in face to face. So how do you build trust, empathy, and compassion through digital media is very, very important. And this is one of the biggest difference in how we were engaging people when we are working from office, and how we are engaging with these guys now. Otherwise, most of the things remain the same. And because of this entire pandemic situation, another dimension which is now becoming very important is around health and wellness. That are you making sure that your employees' well-being is taken care of? Are they themselves aware that what is well-being and wellness actually means? Are they taking care of themselves while they are in office, while they are at home? So these are the fundamentals of how people engage, and most of these fundamentals remain the same. And hence, I think the good news for every one of us is that there is much more increased awareness around these things, and that would be helping companies as well as employees and people leaders in times forward. Now, some of the things which have worked for companies like us and some of the other companies we have been speaking to, see, one is you have to localize your solutions, because something which is working in the current situations in Bangalore might be very different from something which might work in Dublin, and something which might work in Sydney. So localize your solutions as much as possible. Try to decentralize the power. Try to empower your line managers. Try to empower your HR leaders as much as you can, because you really won't get time to get centralized approvals and centralized decision making at this time. So local leaders have to come up with very, very agile and decisive local solutions, because a one size fits all kind of a solution which may not work today, especially for larger organizations which are generally driven by centralized decision making. uh, I would request large organizations that try to do decentralization in your decision making, especially in this current situation, because that will definitely help, and that has been helping a lot of companies we have been speaking to. Other thing is the leadership has to be very, very decisive and real time. I mean, you can't wait for things to happen. The actions and the decisions have to be really fast. The diagnosis has to be really real time. I mean, as Anubhav mentioned in his conversation, that you don't really need out of the box solutions for this. I mean, just have a chat with your direct reportees, just have chats with your team leads, your leadership, etc., and just get the pulse of people every moment, so that you are able to diagnose and fix the solution and then and there. Because if you don't diagnose it at the right time, small issues become rumors when you are working online. So it's very, very important that you kill the rumor, or you kill such kind of disturbance right in the beginning, because you won't get the chance to otherwise mend this if you kind of delay it. So this is one important aspect which changes when you are working from home. And one very important aspect and something which has been really working for a lot of companies is many companies are now suddenly thinking that how do we survive? I mean, people are more into the survival instinct. But I would urge everyone that why don't we get into something beyond survival? So why don't we work towards thriving this entire situation rather than just surviving? Because when we are very confident that we will not only survive but we will do better than what we have been doing, I'm sure that there will be tremendous amount of innovation and growth which every company can see, and overall ecosystem of economy can see, if we get out of the survival instinct and get more into growth plus survival. That would be really helpful. And one more thing which has been working for startups actually is that a lot of startups are now thinking that, okay, how do I fix this solution in my family? Since we are all living in family and our family time is slightly more than it used to be, we are able to relate our work situations with our family situations. So try to think that, okay, if you're facing something in your work life, how would you have solved that problem when you had faced this similar problem in your family? And if you try to correlate that, you will again come up with very human solutions, which will be both human, compassionate, and something which your people will also understand. So if a company has to kind of cut down cost, rather than thinking in a very professional way, just think that how would you have done it if it was a cost cutting in your family? Would you have laid off people, or would you have done something by kind of explaining people that, okay, I think these are bad times, let's cut down our spends, maybe each one of us will eat less or enjoy less or maybe spend less, but we will together kind of survive. So just try to connect the problems with how you would have solved these problems with family, and that really would help. So yeah, these are some of the points which I wanted to make, and I can take any questions now or maybe later in the session.
Thanks, Manoj. So I take one question that's from Samrat. How to build a trust? Maybe, in today's situation, large population working from home, remote working, or, not connected physically.
Yeah, so I think one is how we were building trust when we were connected physically. I mean, we were building trust by making sure that uh, we we have the right clarity. I'm talking about professional work environment. We have the right clarity between what is expected out of the person in terms of his deliverables, because that becomes a bone of contention when you are working from home, or because if you're not clear that what is expected out of this person, sometimes the manager himself is not clear, and the blame goes to the person who is kind of working on it. So there has to be a very crystal clear mapping between what is expected and what is to be delivered. And second is a regular conversation and feedback is also very important. So don't wait for feedbacks to happen. I mean, if you have some feedback, whether it is the reportee or the manager, share the feedbacks, both the sides, very frequently. I mean, don't wait for those annual feedbacks or the quarterly feedbacks. They don't work. I mean, especially in this current situation, it has to be very instant. So I think these 2-3 things are good enough for building trust. I mean, you don't need anything more.
Yeah, thanks, Manoj. So one question from Shantanu, would like to just, take it up and just connect with him on the chat box. Very good question he has posted. Just I'm losing on the time, so can't take any more. Okay, so thanks, Manoj. So that was Manoj from Xoxoday, his co-founder, and Manoj based in Bangalore, India. Please connect with him. He has a lot of ideas on employee engagement. He can tell you, what is the best way of, employee can be engaged in today's scenario from tool point of view and other things. Great, Manoj. Thank you so much. So Our next speaker was Mr. Ravi Raj Gupta. I believe he's away. Ravi, are you there? Please raise your hand. I'm just looking at whether Ravi is there or not. Okay, I think we'll wait for him to come. So we move to the next one. So here we have Mr. K.V. Rajan. Okay, he's good friend of HR Shepherd, not only me. We connected with him long back since last 4 to 5 years, and I still remember he taking his not his team, but Doha HR Shaper based in Qatar to his Coca-Cola plant, and that was really wonderful. Kevi, it's so nice of you, and welcome back to HR Shaper. I know these are the situation where everybody is busy, so thanks for taking out your time. So Kevi Rajan is Director HR of the Coca-Cola bottling company. He's responsible for Bahrain and Doha region. So over to you, Kevi. Looking forward to hear you.
Thank you so much. I hope am I audible to everybody?
You are.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for the speakers there. Wonderful points given by a lot of speakers there, and I just wanted to appreciate their points there. A lot of good questions are coming up there. What an FMCG guy is going to do on the work from home scenario, given the context of what is being done there in that. So we are not used to this work from home in the FMCG domain. But having said this, now we are being forced to do this activity there of the mandated quarantine by the government there in that. So how are we coping up, and what are the few things that we are doing? So I'm not getting into many things, but I just wanted to take two important parameters. The success of an organization depends on the engagement. And if we talk about the engagement of the people there, it is the manager who breaks it or the manager who makes it. So if going by that ideology or the thinking or the research data which talks about it in terms of why the people leave the organization because 80% of the people say that because of the boss, I am going into the other way around in terms of how are you going to make it as a work from home situation there of getting the team together. Now, given this perspective of what we are doing, what we are not used to, and so what we are doing differently, I'm going to present to you there in that. So if the manager is a very important role between the employee and the employer, okay, who's going to play the role there in that. So what are the few things that we need to go about it? So it's very important for the human resources leaders to train those managers of what are their expectations when you are setting up this work from home concept. So it's very important to share the light and make them at a level playing field so that it gets standardized across the streams, be it for finance, be it marketing, be it a supply chain, some of the elements that people can work from home, or it could be the shared services people who do the on-call basis, who stays outside and they do the job. So I'm going to take the first part in terms of the contribution of the manager in terms of driving the engagement with their people. And what are the behaviors that they need to exhibit. So that's where I'm going to talk about it for first 2 to 3 minutes. I think one is establish the trust. Beautifully talked about the earlier speaker there. I don't want to delve deep into that there in that. Establish the trust, which means clear-cut examples of the KRAs and objectives that you want to do that, and very clear objectives of what are your expectations from the work from home. If this report has to be done at so-and-so date at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, I think we need to go by and abide by that. So it's very, very important that clear communication has to be communicated to the employee. The second one is if you are the manager there in that, you need to have that rigorous follow-up from there in that. I don't want to mean by follow-up is a micromanagement. I mean the follow-up in terms of adhering to the deadlines that you are set with your team. And it is very important that you follow up and make sure that that you stick to the guidelines there of what understanding that you guys have understood each other there. And most important thing is listen to what exactly they want. I just wanted to share with you two examples there in that, which came out in our live situation there. One of the things is, boss, my router is one of the derailers in the whole work from home. It could be the speed and the routers. So it's very important that if you need to get the job done, and in terms of getting the engagement up there in that, provide the necessary routers for them in terms of getting the speed on board for your people. Simple solution. The second important solution, which I going to share that, which you will find it so odd, is one of the employee was not able to deliver the goods. And when we go deep into that to see what happened, boss, you seem to be pretty smart and you used to be pretty fast. But no, boss, I am used to the desktop, but now you are giving me a laptop. So what happened was there was what we had, we gave it to them, but what he's used to, we are not. For 14 years, 15 years, he's doing the job beautifully, but suddenly he's getting into a shell which he's not able to go about it and doing it. So what we gave it to them is, okay, take that your typing pad from the computer, go and attach it to that, and then you start working from there. And in fact, to some extent, when you have these CAD CAM drawings, the marketing programs there, we move the entire system back to their home because we trust them, and if you want to get the job done there, I think we need to take the pain. We need to take the pain, and in terms of moving those elements. So understand the pain points of what exactly they do. That when I say understand, listen to what the people are telling. When I say listen, I think listen with your heart. It is not just for the sake of listening it. Please listen to the heart there in that. If the people have done some good work there in that, get on to the virtual recognition award. It could be any awards that you there in that. Start giving those small freebies there in that. And one important thing, people are talking about the pizzas there in that. What we have done differently is, if I am the manager, if I have my team collaboration meeting there with my team, I order the food for everybody at the same time. Say 4 o'clock, we are having a session with them. Let the pizzas be delivered at 4 o'clock from you there in that, and then so that everybody have that pizza bite there in that, and then enjoy the session. Or it could be an ice cream session, or it could be a chocolate session there in that. So make sure that you have a skin in the game in terms of what exactly that you want to go about in terms of the collaboration there in that. The other important thing is people talk about is empowering. I think this is very, very important for you. If at some point of time, people are talking about the trust, one of the very important element of building the trust is to empower the team with some decision making and making sure that they are driving the goods for the organization as well as their self ideology and their actualization of what they wanted to go about it. So give that space for them to do that. Okay. And somebody was talking about it in terms of coaching and feedback. Yes. Have it as a regular practice in terms of coaching the feedback there with your team. And that means if you're going to take a one-to-one with your team, take on one-to-one with your team and spend quality time with them in terms of understanding there in that, which means that you need to give some space of half an hour of going about it and taking care of their child and coming back of half an hour there. Go about it there in that. But it's very important to understand the small nuances which comes in between there, which you give that space for them, and that becomes fantastic engagement for you in terms of that. One of the very important part is, as a manager, if you have to do that, is you need to walk the talk. If that means a seriousness of you are driving it, you better establish it. I mean, the department manager manages it is by standing it and walk the talk and making sure that he showcasing himself there in that. And last but not the least is expect the unexpected from these people. Okay, there could be a lot of derailers that could come. All 5 fingers are not the same. So it's very important that you understand in terms of knowing each other, what could be the derailers there. People may not come on time. People are not being professional in terms of the quality of the output which they have got about it. People are not focusing on the subject of what we are trying to communicate in that. Some people are not contributing to what they're going to go about it. Okay, and so understand these derailers may come, and as a manager, be prepared for it. And so understand these derailers which could come on your way to do that. And people are talking about it in terms of I'm moving into second part of my presentation is people are talking about it, use this as an opportunity for a learning and development platform. So I'm going to give you some practical tips for you guys there in that. If you are running a L&D session for your team, limit to 9 to 10 people there in your session. Okay, don't exceed more than that. because you cannot manage those 9 to 10 if you have to go into a very serious L&D intervention that you're going about it there in that. Use multiple interventions platform in your presentations there in that, in your learning and development. Use PowerPoint, use videos, use a dialogue orientation with your team. Okay, use the pigeonhole surveys there in that. Use the Mentimeter to understand what is a polling station comes into that. So it's a live data which pops up on the screen there. So you get a live data of understanding there in that. Use the Kahoot games to get into some of the basics of your the company culture or the history of the organization, of understanding those backgrounds there in that. Have a virtual breakout session, have a one-to-one dialogue there on a WhatsApp of a breakout session there when you are running a session there in that. Have a pre-test and a post-test methodology of what you wanted to go about it, if it is going to be a skill or technical session that you are planning to do that. Okay, and last but not the least, have the virtual recognition of who has done well, and in terms of giving away some nice awards or nice awards on the portal. So these are some of the key points which I wanted to take you through. One, the role of the manager in terms of making it or breaking it as a work from home for us was so we initiated this process there in terms of going into the small nitty-gritty of supporting them and educating them and making sure that they handle those teams so that it gets common across the standardized approach there in that. And when you wanted to make out in terms of learning and development, adopt these dialogue approach so that you get some nice engagement with the people there and your knowledge gets cascaded down the line. So I just wanted to stop here there because other speakers are there. So I just wanted to cover these two important topics. I hope you enjoyed these 5.5, 6 minutes of session, and I just wanted to wait for your questions there.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. That was really nice one, and I think you cover many points in addition to what other speaker also added. So there were questions coming, but you are actually, picking up those also, input related to the question. But one question I want to pick up is, how to increase the responsiveness of the employee during work from home. Many of the time, they are not responsive, they are not attending, or if they are there, they are not active.
Thank you, Ashish. There, as I was telling you, the 5 fingers are not the same, and if you have a derailer of some outlier, whom I call, who's behaving like that, I think you need to have an offline chat directly with them. I think it's important that you cannot you need to bite the bullet at some point of time and taking a straight conversation. I think Manoj or some other speaker was mentioning about it there in that. I think you need to take head on, and we need to communicate with them there, because otherwise this will become a series of falling the cards, and people will say that he is not doing it, and why should I do it there in that. So I think we need to nip it in the bud, and we need to have an offline chat with that person. Yeah, and if it is something serious which we need to know about it in terms of the personal issues that person is going through, it could be a COVID issue or a fever issue or something else, probably that's a time for you to give that space for them, and then leave him out from the space there, and then take care of his personal well-being, and then move on to the other people whom you wanted to go about it. I think I will go by horses for courses cannot happen. So we need to pick up the cards correctly there, and we need to address it there then and there.
Thanks, Kevi. So I will pause here for your session and move to the next one. So that was really good insight, Kevi. Thanks for joining from Doha, Qatar. Looking forward to see you in person very soon. So guys, we were in Middle East. Now we move from there and we go to Southeast Asia. So here is Mr. Vivek Bhargav. I already posted his detail. He's HR head. He's CPO, I won't say HR head, but he's CPO for Grand Royal Group International Myanmar. Vivek, welcome to you, and looking forward to hear, a lot of insight from your region, especially, what you guys are doing or what's happening in and around.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for inviting me. The first part is I do not know how many people know about Myanmar, so let me tell a little bit that we just moved into a democratic situation just 3 years back, and that is when I've been here for 5 years now after working for DuPont for 25 years. So, and Grand Royal Group is basically an alcohol company. We have about 85% of the market share out here. So alcohol in these times is even more required by the people. So our market, though Myanmar is not under lockdown, people are not really asked to work from home. But as an initiative from a safety perspective, we have asked people to still work from home and not come to the office. Because in the minds out here, what you need to understand is that we are a little bit different from whatever I've been hearing all these speakers talk, because all of them are talking about the digital platforms and the digital learnings and everything. Myanmar is a little bit much underdeveloped as compared to the rest of the world. So we hear the concerns of the people are mainly in terms of certainty, continuity of employment, self-confidence, loneliness. So that's what these people are wanting to get addressed if we want to engage them. And that is something what we are trying to do over here, that we have these daily connect, because out here Viber is a very strong tool which people use. So we've created small groups amongst their own teams where each manager or their supervisors are connecting on a daily basis with them to talk to them, have some concepts. The biggest advantage, or you can say the thing which is happening, is that people, a lot of the younger people or the frontline people have been trying to learn English for the last 3-4 years. So this is as a break which people are taking, and some of the expats who are working here are taking those regular classes to bring them up to speed. So that is where the first step will happen, when they can go on and start having or become part of the e-learning culture which the rest of the world is today focusing on. From a job perspective, what we're doing, we obviously have a weekly target because most of the people are not coming to work. The supply chain has to run. Factories are closed down at this point of time, so that's no production. But as Rajan was just mentioning, they're into the Coke soft drinks industry, we're into the hard drinks industry. So the materials have to reach the markets, the supply chains have to work. So those people still keep working, and they have to be kept motivated in a way that they do not catch on to the whole thing. We do not have too many cases, but people obviously are worried because the medical facilities in this country are pretty poor. So people want to take all the precautions which they have to, because that is something which will help them start working in various modes, so to say. So, and to take on to the next step when the economy opens up for the MNCs to enter this country, which happened in India in '94. So this country is just waiting on that. To keep the people motivated, as you said, or engaged, what we've been doing is that we've got these various groups. Out here, people love music, so they have guitar sessions, they have piano sessions, they have those sort of things which they keep learning. From an organization perspective, as I said, English, Excel, all those basic things is what they need to learn, so we don't put them onto various high practicing tools. One thing which we introduced as a concept in our company some 5 years back was the concept of emotional intelligence. And that is where the managers have started understanding the trigger points of their teams and themselves. So that concept over the last 5 years has helped build up quite a good rapport amongst themselves. And that is what those people are working on at this point of time in terms of engaging their teams and keeping them in high spirits at this particular criteria, when people are getting more worried looking at what is happening in the neighboring countries like India or Thailand or Singapore for that matter, because everybody is on the net all the time, so they keep getting all those global news. So Myanmar is not that bad, but it is still, obviously, it may become bad at any point of time. So those are some small things which we are doing out here. And as we said that we obviously have the managers leading all these things, because I come from a background of DuPont where the managers were HR people were not HR people. And I myself am not an educated HR person. I come from a finance background myself. So that experience and that thing which we had inculcated into the managers over the last 5 years is what is helping now to keep all the people engaged and all the people working together. So that's in brief what I would share from Myanmar. I know people would not have much questions to ask me because there's nothing to copy it from here. But our blue-collared workers, we have a whole lot of them, are basically on the bottom of the pyramid. So we have to address, if we look at what we learned about the Maslow's hierarchy, they're still in the bottom quadrant or the second. So that is where they're more looking at their food. So the company takes care of all those sort of things to keep them engaged. That's where we are working on. That's all from me, Ashish.
Thanks, Vivek. Yeah, so we can take one question for Vivek. Audience, any question for Vivek? That was Vivek from Myanmar. Yeah. Okay. So we will wait, Vivek. If any question comes, so we'll pick up from the chat box, and you can respond as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we move to the next one now. Here we have now, okay, we are in Southeast Asia, but we move to now actual Asia. So that's Mr. Tanka Batari is VPHR Shankar Group from Kathmandu. Welcome to HR Chapter webinar, Mr. Tanka. Are you there? He's not there. Okay, he mentioned about some technical issues. So let's see if he is able to come back. We move to the next one. So that's Mangla from Sri Lanka. So let me post his detail and LinkedIn profile. Ravi will also kind of, we'll see if Ravi can come back. Okay, so that's Mangla Durvinka, HR head Mobitel from Colombo. Mangla, you can start and we'll see if Ravi Raj and Tanka can join later. Yeah, over to you, Mangla. You are on mute, Mangla. Mangla, please unmute yourself. Mangla, we can't hear you.
Yeah, hope you can hear me now. Yeah.
Yes, perfectly. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, thanks, guys. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm from Mobitel, the national mobile service provider from Sri Lanka. And let me give you some insights what we do at this point of time. Basically, I'm going to spend my 7 minutes on these pillars that what we have done action on. Basically, planning is very much important in a situation like this, where most of the things are uncertain and unpredictable, and it is not the norm that you are no longer in. And also the communication, I think most of the presenters talked about communication. I think it's very important, even in our context, also being a communication partner. We practice communication very much within the organization as well. And how do we engage? And also, finally, most important topic on health and well-being of the employees. So moving on to the first part, we from Mobitel perspective, we being a telco, we had to have BCP plans intact in terms of any disaster situation. But to be very honest and very frank with you guys, like we never anticipated that a virus can disrupt the whole organization and the entire globe. But we are facing that situation at the moment. So the moment that we understood that we have to go through this whole period, so the entire the steering committee and the BCP committee was convened, and they reassessed their readiness to basically face the challenge. And then the management team and the CEO got together and executed the plan and ensured that necessary resources are available for the staff members to get connected, because it was overnight that in Sri Lanka the curfew was imposed. We are based in Colombo, our head office is in Colombo, and all of our regions were kind of the entire country went on to curfew. So we couldn't basically move out. So basically we had to give employees remote access, and resources were given, the dongles were given, the LAN connectivity was given. So with that, the staff was able to connect. And we had a tabletop exercise which we did on a different scenario on the business continuity last year. However, it is like that also helped us in terms of getting our thinking together in terms of facing this challenge. So business continuity is important. as we all know, we being in HR, we need to manage both business as well as the well-being of the staff members. We wanted staff to really connect with the business at this point of time and support, like for example, reloading, and also basically supporting the connections. And although they are not into the business front, even the back office staff was given the opportunity and the necessary tools. Try to kind of motivate and get engaged with the team in terms of delivering the business results. And one other thing that we decided is consistent and clear messages where staff has to be given, and clear messages were given, awareness were given, and one of the challenges awareness, you need to rely on trustworthy sources. So we were making our awareness material from WHO, and we have Health Bureau in Sri Lanka. So all those things were kind of referred, and staff were made aware on certain maybe on the COVID-19 or in general health related concerns. And even a slightest thing like our email header, like I have mentioned a small screenshot here, where even the email header or rather signature was also kind of changed. We wanted people to be connected and stay safe. So little things was in place, and routine communications and the weekly plan, like every week how it's going to be, and all the line managers were also kind of briefed, and the HODs were briefed, and they knew how the week is going to be like. And moving on to the engagement part, we didn't want to stop our engagement activities, especially where we usually have our quarterly magazine, online magazine. So we wanted staff still to continue writing their articles, their achievements, and also any videos that we can post on the Engage. So that is a portal where people can get engaged and present their talent. And also we have Toastmasters Club, where the guys were innovative in coming on via WebEx. They were able to host their meetings, and we wanted staff to be connected as always. And we have our internal trainer faculty, and we wanted people to train and their own colleagues, and ensure that they basically enlighten, and their skill sets are groomed given the time we have. So we invited our internal staff members to volunteer and conduct webinars. So from HR itself, we initiated our first webinar, and the rest of the guys came on board. And now we have huge loads of webinar series being planned weekly, and every day, like maybe 3 days a week, we have after 3 o'clock webinars. So there's a quite good response from the team as well, where the staff being registered on voluntary basis. And we work on the Teams, Microsoft Teams, and normal routine meetings are also being done, so that people won't feel like they are left out, and their schedules are being looked at. The work from home schedules are being discussed. The divisional meetings are taken up. So the employees are taken together, and they are engaged. And one other classic example is that we have connected with our training partners, training facilitators as well. Slim is an organization internal in Sri Lanka, and we engaged with them, and it was a one-to-one, like rather a physical digital marketing session that we wanted to have internally in our auditorium. But unfortunately, with this COVID-19 shutdown, we couldn't launch it. But we didn't want to stop at that point, and we took the sessions on digital. So the classes are happening, it's ongoing, and we continue to build up our knowledge sharing sessions and engage the staff so that when the times are good, we know that the team is prepared to take it forward. Finally, on the well-being side of it, as I said, we have quite a lot of things that we've done, and a lot of things are being planned also at the moment. Staff, normal staff welfare initiatives are a challenge at this point of time. So what we wanted is our staff to get engaged, get themselves registered on yoga sessions, and also on well-being, we wanted to get on our doctors and consultants from one of our partner hospitals, and that will be happening on the 23rd. And also, with the curfew, the staff was unable to go and see their doctors. So what we did was, we have our e-channeling subsidiary. That particular company offered our staff on a concessionary note that the online doctor sessions can be the consultations could be taken. So and also, we are in the process of organizing a step up challenge, rather a step challenge where 1,000 or 4,500 steps to be kind of done a day, a competition sort of a thing. So little things are being done from the company point of view to keep the staff engaged. Given the time frame, let me take few questions and share my thoughts on those. Yeah, Ashish? Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah. So Mangla, I think questions will take time to come here, but yeah, we'll take it from the chat box. So yeah, I'm not able to see any question. Let me check in Q&A. Okay, so one question, Mangla, I can take it. Any suggestion on what approach we need to take when we move back to office after lockdown? Your BCP team have any plan?
Yeah, basically the plan is to when the curfew is lift, we don't want everybody to be taken on board in one go. So there's a separate plan where how we engage the team, maybe 20% in the first week, and even the 20% is going to be on a rostered basis, so that we will have minimum impact on the in case if something goes wrong. So there's a separate plan, a BCP plan being prepared for each division, how they're going to bring in the staff into normal operations once everything is good. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Mangla. So yeah, you can pick up some question from Q&A box. Okay, let me move on to the next speaker now. Thanks, Mangla. So that was Mangla from Sri Lanka, based in Kathmandu. Okay, we move to the next speaker. So Ravi is back now. There was some urgency, so he went out to attend the call. So Ravi, let me unmute Ravi. Ravi, you are able to hear us?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Ravi, we can hear you. So Ravi is based in Kuwait. Ravi full name is Rajat Gupta. He's the Director HR Capico Group Holding Company based in Kuwait. Ravi, over to you. Would like to hear insight on employee engagement during work from home.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh. It is lovely and my pleasure to have be here on the webinar, which you have organized and coordinating very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashish, for this. And also thankful to my esteemed speakers who have given so much of insight on employee engagement and work from home. Hope my voice is clear to everyone.
Yes, Ravi, you can little bit lower down or just be little bit away from the mic.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, I'm working from Kuwait now. I have been in GCC for almost 17 years. Just a small side insight of my career in GCC. Prior to this, I was in Oman with Bhavans for about 15 years. I have just joined Capital Group Holding about 16 months back. And this pandemic, which has hit hard globally, everywhere, very strongly, and Kuwait is also suffering from this painful pandemic. Kuwait has a history of going through one more devastation, which had happened in about 88 and 90 when there was an Iraq invasion. So we have people working in Capricorn Group Holding who have witnessed this invasion earlier. And I spoke to them about how is the difference between this pandemic and the invasion. They say there's a lot of difference because in invasion, we were all contained in home and we were not allowed to come out till the war was over. But this pandemic, we are coming out of the home, but we are not allowed to mix with each other. So social distancing has become a normal norm here from last 25 days. And Kuwait is as big as I can say about Delhi, or as big as Bombay, which has a population about of 45 lakhs, and in which about 8 lakhs is about Indian community. And we are going through this pandemic outbreak. Today, the outbreak has a ratio of about 2,000 people who are suffering from COVID. Now, coming back to the employee engagement and the work from home, I'm representing a company which is into sales and marketing of automobiles, whether it is aftermarket spare parts or tires or accessories or the refurbishment of the car. We have about 25 outlets in entire Kuwait. Now, we would like to work from home as much as any of those speakers said, but the business nature is such, we are not allowed to work 100% work from home because customer footfalls happen in our outlets. So, but now there are certain restrictions from the government where the curfew has been done for entire 24 hours. There are certain localities where no business can take place. And in those localities, our employees are stuck. So we have immediately come out with certain new tools where we can get in touch with the employees. Employee can guide to their operation heads. So what we have done, we have created a hotspot way. There's a tool where everybody's on LinkedIn, and we have a talk in the morning with all those operation heads. And certain important management people consist of about 10 to 12 people. They have to be in the office from 9 to 2. So being a part of that management, I was in the office when I cut out because it was almost 2:30, so I would have to leave the office and come back home. So that's why there was a gap in communication with Ashish. My apologies for that. So now what happens is that when we have also got into the e-commerce digital marketing, where the customers' complaints, customers' requirements are being addressed and being passed to the operation heads, and those operation heads, then they are getting in touch with the customers, and delivery vans and community vans have been insured. So they go to the customer houses and their requirements are being addressed. As far as the employees who have got stuck in the curfew areas for 24 hours a day, which is there from last 25 days, we have sorted out one of those team leader in those areas. When those team leaders, what happens, we have kind of selected a guy who's a multitasking and he's a multi-oriented, multifaceted guy. He leads a team of 8-9 people from that area, and he gets connected to the other operation vertical heads to understand their problems and sort it out online. So this is the way it is being addressed. So what I would like to say from Kuwait, from my industry, from my company, we are half work from home and half from work from office, which really gives us advantage, because whenever there is a customer walk-in happening between 10 to 2, we address him, we speak to him, we talk to him, and we address the problem. Now, coming back to the employees who are at home after 2 o'clock, IT has played a very important key role in getting the communication across. Now, what we do, we have created certain learning platforms, certain digital learning platforms, where we are trying, because this is the first time the Kuwait has been stuck this kind of uncertainty. So we are getting connected on the platform. We disseminate the training programs. We disseminate the certain technical sales programs and understandings to the employees. They go through, and the next day, if there's any question, they come back, and again it is being answered. The question is, how do we come over with this kind of 50 work from home and 50 work from office? There is an unstructured things happening where every day when we sit down in the executive committee meeting, we, along with the IT guy, along with the operation head guy, we sit down and take down those points, and then we go for addressing it. This is the way we are operating. Our other operations are also affected in Oman and UAE, because we have operations in UAE and Oman. Oman is also under curfew. Entire thing, all the outlets, all the offices has been closed, because there the government is quite strict. So everything is at home, everything is being shut down. But there's no doubt about it. There is a productivity slump in the Middle East. UAE also, we have same kind of curfew happening. There's a lot of steps and measures. We are on defensive measures with the customer end. We are on defensive measures towards the employee end. But nothing where we have been hearing sort of stories from Middle East or other parts of GCC that certain guys have been laid off or salaries are being cut. Salaries may be cut because there's a reduced working hours. There is a reduced productivity. There's a reduced engagement maybe in the month of May, June. But so far the April, we are sailing it through. This is what I can share from Kuwait, Ashish. Any questions? I'm open to it.
Thanks, Ravi. That was so quick and wonderful insight. I won't say I like, but as you said, half working from home and half in office.
Yeah.
Guys, please post any question in next 5-10 seconds. I can take one question for Ravi, then we'll move to the last session from Nepal. Yes, so Tino would like to know, do your company offer any free certification program to employ for self-competency development?
Yes, we are doing the Oracle sort of program for the non-IT guys, where the IT head, CIO gets into the touch, and he's doing it on the online program for 6 days. Then there's a digital marketing program going from the marketing head, which is also sent across to the different business, and one of the HR guys also a participant there. So they are being given homework on the digital marketing, and they're being given homework how to launch their product, how to launch their HR products, HR in their websites. So this is how we are doing it.
Ravi, I will take one more question. So this will be the last for you. So here Pradeep would like to know how you manage and handle your employee concern and worries during COVID times. How much you were successful?
See, this question brings down me to the understanding of the morale of the employee. And the morale of the employee, every day you have to pick up and pull him up. Reason being is that this pandemic has spread a fear in the community, a fear in the expat community. And a lot of expats, I would say, who are my employees, they have been told to follow government rules and WHO instructions. And we've also disbursed the masks and the sanitizers and the hand gloves to all the employees who have to walk into the warehouse or the outlets. And we have told them, if there is any kind of fear or any kind of symptoms of asymptoms of the COVID, please get in touch, because we have an hospital taking care on those fronts like this.
Thanks, Ravi. So that was Ravi from Kuwait. Thank you, Ravi, for taking out your time. And we move from Middle East to Now Asia, so that's our neighbor. So he is Mr. Tanka from Nepal. I already posted his details. So he's Tanka Bhattarai VPHR Shankar Group based in Kathmandu. So
Thank
over
you
to
very
you,
much,
Tanka.
Ashish.
Over to you now.
Hello.
You can hear us? Yes.
Yes, I'm hearing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can switch on your video also.
Okay, everything is switched off. Yeah, yeah. Good evening, everyone from Nepal. I hope you all are taking care of yourself and your employees in such pandemic situation. Myself, Tanka Bhattrai, Vice President HR Sangar Group and founder Human Capital Development Professional in Nepal. Thank you, Ashish, to provide opportunity to me to share my experience on employee engagement, work from home in Nepalese context. Insightful sharing from all the speaker today. Thank you all speaker. However, especially I'm focusing engagement on this pandemic situation, COVID-19 in Nepal. As we know that the entire world has been hit by a pandemic that has not cured it, and only prevention is to maintain social distance. In this scenario, many companies continue to implement full-time remote workplace due to COVID-19 to keep their employees engaged in job. It is obvious that the way of engaging employees, people from one company to another company, depending upon the nature of the organization, financial status, availability of means, and the resources, etc. In the context of Nepal, we are using some best way to engage and motivate employees while they are working from home. We have built strong internal communication mechanism. It is highly important, especially during crisis, to encourage frequent communication among employees. It does not allow to lose the level of motivation for employees. They also feel communication platform and establish an open door policy with our employees. In this, the higher productivity and the employees engagement. We have created a separate WhatsApp, Viber group or digital meetings. The frequent messages posted by top level management to its middle level management and entry level staff show that some level of attachment that been built up. When the top management posted that if any employee need any monetary support, they will be depositing in bank account and a grocery item that it will be delivering with the top priority, then everyone are happy. Employers are also sharing the quiz competition, games, news in the group so that employees are showing their participation. Similarly, we have set a clear goal for our employees. Without it, remote employees may not produce high quality works. So, respective manager has established clear and meaningful goals with all remote employees as per the requirement of the respective department. Meanwhile, we had set clear matrices also that will enable us to track outcomes and measure results effectively. Just as how we can engage our employees. For example, like it just HR department, we are in the phase of the HR policy amendment after the COVID-19. Like IT is very engaging from the remote support. Sales is like the collection and customer care engagement. Similarly, account and finance is engaged for the new ERP installation or solving issue from the fund shortage, loan rescheduling, meeting different stakeholders for supporting package from the government, etc. Like its brand, how can brand we can engaging? Branding is engaging like the planning for the base and the old brand communication and reworking on the brand strategy to reach to the people better in cost-effective way, preparing the questionnaire for the market resources, and just like its logistic department, customer engagement, building good relation with the supplier so that immediately after the office appoints, organization can get resources at the earlier than the competitor. Like is on the other hand, recognition of the employees' efforts is also important in our context. While working from home, is the entire world is fighting against a vital pandemic, employees are the delivering services from home. They are not be fully concentrated on work. In this situation, employee recognition play a vital role to motivate them. So being as a professional, we need to make it a special matter. If we acknowledge our employees' distance work, they feel rejoice for that contribution and help for better roads. Based on the performance of the employee and recommendation from the HOD, we are planning to award our employees when the situation becomes normal. Similarly, we are engaging some employees by mobilizing them to our CSR activities. It makes employees pride to be associated with a brand. Furthermore, it helps community during crisis. Our employees are engaged on donating masks, PPE, making availability of space for quarantine, distributing grocery items to the poor and the needy people. We are also encouraging to some of our employees for taking online courses, as it is the right time for them to learn what they want. For these managers should facilitate them. When we promote the e-learning, it makes them motivated and engaged. They will learn various professional skills. If there is any cost incurred in registration of online courses, then we are providing the full refund to employees in the condition that if he or she has passed the trainings and provided the certificate. These are some ways that we are engaging our employees in a police context. If you have any question, can you please ask me?
Thanks, Tanka. That was wonderful insight. So we are open for Q&A now. That is for all, Tanka. So including everyone. Okay. Anybody would like to just come on the screen, raise your hand rather than writing. Anyone, guys? Okay, let me take Anubhav. Anubhav, would you like to ask the question here directly?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So one question. Let me take it. Maybe many. Yeah. See, this question. Let me ask everyone. Employer complaining about extended working hours. Because they are working from home, working anytime, every time. HR can take care of all.
Especially we are very flexible. If it's work from home, so we are very much flexible on this. So based digital meeting, and we are flexible. We have not extended any additional working hour in this situation. Or I think home from work is itself a flexible type of work. So I don't think so. We are not receiving any type of complaint on this. We have to manage on this.
Okay, another insight. Thanks, Tanka. So that was opening remark from you. Would like to hear. So let me add also one point. Another, because see, work from home, especially for many multinational company, you work in a different time zone, right?
Yeah.
So you tend to work extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody would like to add? Rajan, Vivek, Param.
Let me, this Mangala, let me give you some insight. Like, our concept is basically like we respect their personal time as well. But at the same time, I think it's a joint responsibility of the staff as well as everybody within the organization to understand and deliver their services. It's not that you expect people to work even after your normal working times, but when work demands, what I've seen is like, I was having a chat with few of the HODs today as well. So they're saying like, staff are very much engaged, like, they tend to respond very quickly on emails, and they don't complain, and they feel like, they're comfortable because they're anyway working from home, they're flexible, and they're given the responsibility and the accountability of their, deliverables. So I think it's a joint responsibility, and the line managers are also handling the staff very much maturely. So I think it's a responsibility of both line manager and everyone.
Yes. Well,
Can I just add some more points to what Mangal was telling?
Yes, Rajan.
The key point, yes, I just add to what Mangal was telling there, in that if that person has to work for some reason, for example, it could be a submission of some reports, which is a time-bound report which has to be submitted there, and the person has stayed back in the late till 1 o'clock in the night and he has worked there in that. probably you need to sensitize that point there as a boss, and then you need to give him that equal time off either the tomorrow or the next day or some other day which you feel, which that person is feel comfortable there in that. You recognize that extra work that has been done, and a mutually cooperation there in that you do that thing. So I think it's between the boss and the department manager and the employee. Hard and fast rule. There's it works by the number of hours there, which goes recorded there in that. I think we need to play by what has been done in terms of the output. Then I think the manager can take a call on that.
Okay, sorry. So this is normal in India. People anyway tend to work extra even while they are in office. Rather, some people go to office just to spend more time. Really, I don't know how to take care of such kind of thing. But at the same time, people work less also. Okay, so I have added 2 people. Let me see if they can come on the screen. Ask the question. Anubhav, Sumi, Milati, would you like to ask the question what you are posting in the chat box? Please unmute yourself and ask the question. We still have 5 more minutes. Okay, let me read the question. They are hesitant to ask. Okay, I'll take one question. Is coming from Zakir. How to manage distraction and infrastructure challenges while working from home? Distraction and infrastructure challenges. People don't have a good space to sit properly. Even in last session, one speaker said even you are going to work from home and sitting almost 8 to 10 hours. Even your chair should be properly, so that you should not be kind of. Yes, Rajan, over to you.
I'm going to give a simple suggestion to for this thing. Keep away the mobiles, the WhatsApp, and the auto prompts which comes up on your laptop. Okay, because that has to be in the mute when you are working on something serious there. Because you have taken so much of time to work on certain solution that you have arrived at 45 minutes time, and suddenly a message or a WhatsApp message or ting, a message will come over there, or a WhatsApp a mail from your boss comes over there with something there. What happens is our amygdala in the brain just takes over that activity, and then you began to respond to that mail or a WhatsApp which becomes so active in your backend. So what happens there is 45 minutes of hard work that you're planning to do, which you are supposed to complete it, goes back to zero. And then what happens is you need to spend another 45 minutes to start where you're starting from there. So the simple methodology, especially when you're working from home, treat it as if your religious space that you are working, and just focus on the job, what you have got at hand, and never do multitasking when you're there.
Okay, Rajan. So thanks for the input. Okay, I have added few more delegates who are raising a hand. Anybody would like to unmute and ask the question? I saw you raising a hand.
Yes, I want to.
Is that Samrat?
Yes, this is Samrat.
Yes, go on.
Okay. First of all, thanks for such a wonderful session by all the esteemed panel members. So this question is open to all the panel members. Suppose, all the panel members were talking about certain, policies that they are following for the employee engagement, being work from home. So my question is, post lockdown, do you think these things would be followed religiously? I mean, and people start going to office. Do you think the policies that we have laid down, the changes that we have made, would be followed for a period of time, or it is going to be a temporary thing? Yeah, this is my question actually.
Okay, Samrat, thanks. Anybody like to take it up?
I think Rajan was raising his hand, so he would like to go first on that.
Yes, Rajan.
It's a wonderful question. I think, look, Samrat, organization is currently going through lot of challenges in the bottom line. Okay, they have lost the volume, they have lost the money that was supposed to come over there. So the productivity is going to be the order of the day. And now, as a human resources, we are not only getting into in terms of adding value in terms of the human resources, but we need to wear the hat of a business angle of understanding where the money is going, where the money is not coming, and how we can add the productivity to the organization. If work from home is doing a good job, let us continue that. so that it will save you on many elements of the business there in that. We don't have to reduce the salary, but along with the attachment of the transportation of the people which comes over there in that, okay, occupying the space which is there in the office there in that, the wellness of the people which is going to be affected after the post-COVID situation, going by and we have more number of women.
Carry on. Let me see you. Who's on? Wait. Rajan, continue.
Okay. Samrat, the point I'm trying to take that is, if that works, it will continue. It will be a norm of the day. I think I read that beautiful article of the TCS CEO who was mentioning it there of a 25-25 thing. I think it is going to be imbibed, especially companies like FMCG companies, where we have not explored work from home as a concept. I think we will be trying to go about it in a much more methodical way, because that's going to be the norm. And we need to get out of the circle of influence, getting expanded, and making sure that we accommodate those elements there in that, Samrat.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is a question from Rahul. Thanks, HR Shapers and Xoxoday for putting this together, and lovely to see the panelists and get their inputs. How are you using this time, or what percentage of your time is going towards coaching and holding up a mirror to senior executives and leaders in the organization about how they are thinking and executing some of these changes we see today?
Rahul, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Rahul, I think you need to repeat the question.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So how much of your time is going towards coaching and holding up a mirror or having deep conversations with senior leaders in the organization of how they are thinking through and making changes to people and business in these times? What are you doing about that?
So very, very interesting question. Everybody is in firefighting mode. I don't know whether we have luxury to add something which is called other than the ground level reality to fix it up. So Rajan, Vivek, Mangla, I mean, how much time we are spending on the strategy, coaching, mentoring, development, and all. Though it may be happening, but actually it's a firefighting happening, every day, unless lockdown is over.
My question is not so much about coaching and mentoring as in regular BAU activities. In such times when leaders are under pressure to make decisions, and being a CEO is a very lonely job, they would turn to C-suite members like the panelists to say, to bounce off ideas and be a sounding board. And we actually become de facto coaches and people who can hold up a mirror and be a sound.
What's your good name? Sorry.
Rahul.
I think I will go in a little bit outside approach to this question. It's not the question of value adding at this point of time in terms of understanding the crisis. I think when you are in crisis, it's the skin in the game that matters. So it's what it means is that you need to be there, walking tall, walking in the front, and making sure that we are there to support you during this crisis. So if this means that we need to take the call at 2 o'clock in the morning, we need to take the 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. If this means that the privilege of working late and spending time and burning the midnight oil to contributing what could be done 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, do that. So it's very important. Yes, coaching and feedback. The CEO alone is not. Yes, it is there, but it is very important as the executive team. We all join together and share our key important points to the CEO from the various pragmatic approaches of what could be done. Okay, the one way of looking at a solution of one person can be different for the other guy there in that. So give that space for that individual there. Let everybody contribute to that whole issue, and then probably you will have a fantastic idea which comes on board. And maybe why only the ELT? Maybe it goes up to the frontline warrior who has got a brilliant idea. Please listen to him there in that and what he wants to do that. And then, so one of the very important thing is town halls during this session is a very important tool. When I say town halls, it's not a one-way town hall. Keep a town hall there in the form of a two-way, and approach the people there where they are. They could be at home, they could be in the market, they could be in the restaurant, packing up the things there and coming up there to their home. So address it with them. Take their feedback of what they are, what their contribution is, and then try to make it ongoing, not one day, not 2 days. Address it as much as possible from you, from the boss, the line managers. So contribute their well-being there. So and then if you have some small issues there, try to listen to that and then go about it there. I think during the crisis, I think that your skin in the game matters, Rahul.
Just to add to what
Hello.
Rajan said, this is Mangal here. I think it's spot on, Rajan. I think it's a matter of now how do we basically go about in delivering the operational challenges that we have at the moment. And as you said, being open and communicating, communication is very important. Town hall meetings, and even like you can take the staff online if you have that facility or resources available. Take them online. Have your continuous quarterly meetings or monthly town hall meetings as appropriate. Get staff to kind of communicate their thoughts, and at the same time, I think it's a responsibility, as you rightly said. We need to connect with our immediate team, and then everybody should get connected at this point of time, share thoughts, and ensure that they all understand the business challenges at this point of time and deliver the expectations. And it's challenging, and we need to change the norm that we are operating in, and we have to face and ensure that we come over. And if everybody works together, it is doable, I suppose.
Vivek, you like to add something? I saw you raising a hand.
Well, what I was just trying to make a point, Ashish. I think Rajan has already mentioned that, but one thing this time, there is no question of showing the mirror or being a coach, but as Rajan said, that we are all in it together. So at this point of time, there are certain questions which are not specifically that it is a CEO-led thing or it is a CFO-led thing or an HR-led thing, where it's a joint effort at this point of time. So everybody's opinion matters, and at that point of time, who can bring in the right stuff to the table is what makes the difference. So I don't think the question which Rahul asked about coaching at this point of time, that's not the right thing, I would say. I think everybody's coaching each other at this point of time.
Yeah, I think people are learning over a period of time, not over a period of time, but every second actually. A lot of BCP has been failed, okay? And coaching need time to even digest, to teach and to understand and all. So ground level reality and just take it over, how to deal with. Speed is most important, Speed, communication, real-time solution, ground level practical issues. One need to understand whether you are CEO, business head, or HR manager. Okay, great.
At the end, Ashish, just one thing which I just like to sum up is that with people, whether it's the senior management or the middle or the lower or the blue collar, everybody is looking for transparency, communication, and commitment. So whatever we communicate, because especially in some countries, like I can speak about Myanmar, for example, the middle management and the lower management believe that the upper management is very close to the government, so they would know much more information. So when we share something, it has to be in a very transparent manner and telling them very clearly that this is what is happening. You people are also facing it. We are also facing it. It's not that there's a difference between you people facing it and we are not facing it. So that transparency and commitment become very important, where the point which Manoj mentioned about trust needs to be created.
Yeah. We'll take last question. Rajan want to leave. Rajan, if you can be there, we'll take just last question from the box.
Okay.
Anybody want to unmute?
Yes, I'm Ruhul from Bangladesh, basically.
Okay.
I'm a HR professional. I just want to ask you panel members, basically, in this situation, I'm working from home and I'm working in FMCG company. So is it possible to as FMCG company to play a role as I'm work from home? if it continues, what I can see in my organization, people are basically scared to lose their job in this situation. So how can we assure them, okay, you people, you will not lose their job, and what will be the actually decisions or steps after pandemic situations?
See, Mr. Amin, one thing which you need to understand is that in this uncertain environment, I don't think any HR or any leader can give that commitment that your job will continue. And that's where I made the point that we need to be transparent and open and make the people understand that we all are going through a phase which we do not know what the end result is going to be, but we are all in it together. So if that commitment and that concern is shown to the employee, I think they will buy it. At least that's what's being buying in Myanmar, that when we're telling him that even if we are closed down for 15 days, your salaries are being paid, everything is working, but we do not know the future and we cannot even assure the future. So I think people will understand that if you see it in a very truthful manner. But if you play a game, then that will be wrong.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Basically, I've got my point, and thank you. It was very nice session, and we're watching from Bangladesh, and hopefully we will see some more sessions like this next. Thank you.
Just take the last question that's posted again and again. How to take care of the employees who are from construction and infrastructure industry, project site allocation, or any employee in any industry who doesn't have logistic to work from home. How to take care of those employees and engage them? Yes, Rajan, you're on mute.
Subhash, I think Subhash is asking this question. Subhash, the point is now, yes, those people have to come to the workplace. So it's very important that their safety is being taken care of. If the bus has got a 50 people capacity, you need to have a 25 people there inside. Two, as soon as they come inside the workplace, which is there in that, you need to provide them with the PPE. So third, they need to provide them with the 1 meter distance, social distance gap that we need to do that. Temperature scanning has to be done 2 times a day or 3 times a day. Ensure that the food in the place where they eat has got sanitized. The place where they stay has been given the complete sanitization there in that. Ensure that regular communication there in that. Understand where is he staying and who are his roommates who are staying. And if he's staying at the same industry with the same company where he is working, good. But if he's going to stay there in another location where he has got other people coming and staying over there, we need to monitor and do the tracing of the people who are staying with him. Because tomorrow something happens to this X person, you need to know the tracing points, because we need to go there and identify those tracing points there. These are all small things, but rigorous protocols has to be maintained at the entrance. Helmets has to be given, whatever it is there in that. Mouth, what do you call, the covering of the mouth has to be given there. Give them the sufficient, when he goes for the lunch break or a coffee break there in that, give him the space for him to do that in terms of giving the the cleaning sanitizers for him there in the place where they come there and sit there. So these are small things that we do that, and it's not going to be easy. And provide them as the I don't know which part of area you're working in. If you're in the Middle East, you need to provide them with the water, sufficient water, because the temperatures are soaring at this point of time there in that. So these are small tips which I suggest you to do that. But it has to be with day in, day out protocol which has to be maintained, because those people cannot speak. So it's very important as a HR, we take the role and initiate it.
Yes, main thing is safety. Take care of the employee first wherever he is. It's not always that he need to work from home, but he should be safe, so that whenever office is open, he should be able to come back. Many government in respective country They have already allowed people, wherever they are, they should be retained in the employment, pay the salary in XYZ, depend upon country to country. Okay, so here we are ending up our session. So thanks all speakers. You are there till now, those who are here and those who joined in the beginning and took the session. Thank you so much. Thanks all delegates. We still have around 200 people. Thanks Xoxoday, Manoj and team, Priya for supporting this. And we will have a fourth one covering rest of the country very soon. That will happen next week, most probably on Thursday. You will get the invite very soon. So thanks everyone for joining. Save the chart and look out for email and WhatsApp message.
Thank you.